Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. Now looking at that thumbnail, right, you'd wonder what we should do to achieve this dress. Well, I'm here to tell you that we need to analyze this. Before we start, let's take an analysis over this dress. Yes, you can see that the main part of the dress is of two sections. It has a yoke and it has the main bodies that has the fullness. So what does it imply? What does it imply? What are we going to do? It means we're going to divide our dress into two sections, the upper part for the yoke and the down part for the fullness. And also we are going to have a sleeve, yes, separately, and it's going to be attached to this dress. So I'm going to use the paper as for my illustration. Yes, for start we need to take note of our measurement needed. Okay, remember this dress has a collar. That's a Mandarin collar. Okay, that means it will have an opening at the back to aid easy wearing. So we have the neck measurement. I am going to use this measurement for my illustration. So the hip, the sleeve length, the sleeve round, that's the round sleeve, then dress length. Okay, these are the important measurements you need to take note of. Okay, so I'm going to be making use of my basic bodies here. If you don't know how to draft this, I have a link below on how you can go about it. So I'm going to alterate my pattern to the way it was initially. After taking this down, I'm going to trace this pattern, the upper part, to bring out my yoke. Okay, we're going to concentrate right here. So I'll just trace quickly. Alright, so my yoke will start at my armhole line. My yoke is going to start at my armhole line. I'm even going to come down about ½ inch, so that, or 1 inch, because I want the yoke to take everything that has to do with the armhole. Alright, then it will be attached to the dress aspect. So I just come down by ½ inch or 1/4 inch. Alright, just to have a little piece around this point. So this is where my make sure this is closed. This is where my pattern ends. I'm just going to mark those points so I'll be aware of it. This is armhole point and ½ inch. So I'm going to take this off. So this will be a guideline for me now. So if you're marking directly on your fabric, which you can still do if you want, but I still ask you to do this aspect, is preferable. So this will be your yoke for the dress. So you are going to make sure that your neckline is accurate, and remember the back also. The back is going to be the same thing as the front. The only difference here is that we're going to have, it's going to come down by 1 inch. Okay, I can just use my back pattern to look at, but let's just come down by 1 inch, just 1 inch. Okay, when you come down by 1 inch, you're going to connect these two. Alright, so this, by the time I cut this pattern, I'm going to cut out 2 of this yoke, following this line for the back, then following this line for the front. Now for the down part, what you have to do for the down part is to multiply the highest circumference, which is usually the hip when you're making a gown like this. So the circumference with the highest amount, you are going to multiply it by, yes, you're multiplying this time, multiply by 2 inches, so that you can have enough fabric to create that fullness and tuck it into your yoke. Now if you check, before we go down to the dress part, let's still come back to our yoke. If you check the dress, the thumbnail, you find that the shoulder is extended. The shoulder point is extended. Yes, because they still wanted to create fullness. They still wanted to create a free dress. In as much as there's a yoke, they still want the idea is to make the dress free also at that yoke point. Let it not fit to the body. So we're going to extend the shoulder. So I'll extend mine by 1 inch. Depends on how you want it to be. You can extend by 2 inches, but maybe 2 inches might be too much, but 2 inches will still go. So I'll even increase mine to 1.5. Let me increase mine to 1.5. So I extend this line. I almost forgot about this extension. Also, you're going to extend the armhole line. You know, this is our armhole line that we're making use of. Remember, this is where our armhole line is. We just came down by 1/2 inch to be able to accommodate all the curve. So I can create more fullness here at the armhole line compared to the shoulder. Okay, the shoulder can just be a little bit like 1 inch, 1/4, 1.5. But at this point, I can add as much, not too much anyway, as much fullness that you want to accommodate. So I'll do 2 inches. Depends on how free. You can do 1 inch, you can do 1.5. Depends on how free you want the dress to be. So with our curve, you're going to recreate your armhole. Now remember, we have armhole line here. So you're going to recreate the armhole. Okay, I think I want to change my mind with the extension, or should I not? Okay, just to tell you that you still get confused like I am right now. Don't be afraid to get confused, okay? It helps you to open up your eye on what you should do better. Okay, so now I've extended this line. So this will be my yoke to create what? To create enough ease for me. Now let's go back to our down part. For the down part, I told you multiply your hip by 2. If you feel 2 will be too much, you can multiply by 1.5. So if you're working with hip 40, what do I mean by multiplying by 1.5? Just add half of that measurement to your hip measurement. So hip 40, I add half of it, it becomes 60. That's what you'll be working with for the circumference. So that's 60. I will divide it by 4 because we're working with 1/4 of our measurement right now. So 60 divided by 4 will give you your answer, which is what? 15 for one part. But I'm going to work with times 2. So I'm working with hip of 42. 42 divided by 4. Yes, I like to press my calculator. 10. Oh, sorry, that's not what I was supposed to press. 42 multiplied by 2 is 84. Then you divide it by 4. Gives you 21. Yeah. So this 21, yes, this long 21 you're seeing right now is going to be what you will tuck into the yoke. So when you mark your 21 inches, like I am right now, we're going to add, okay, let me take the tape this way so you see. So that 21 inches, you're going to add what? Your seam allowance. So let's add the seam allowance of 1 inch. Seam allowance of 1 inch, that to make it 22. You're going to mark this all the way down to your full length, okay? This paper cannot give me that full length on our thumbnail, so I'll just mark what I have here. I'll just mark what I have here, 22, all the way down. So I'm going to connect this line. So if you're marking on your fabric, I think you should be using a chalk now. So it's just a square fabric. Square, like squared. Yeah. There's nothing to this. It's very simple and straightforward. So I'm going to cut. Let me show you how you're going to do this. So you're going to cut this for the front, the same thing for the back. There won't be a zipper, but there will be what? There will be a button and a loop. Remember, we have a Mandarin collar on the neck. We're still going to show how to do that. So for now, because why I said there won't be a zip, you know, we have an allowance here already. So this freeness, this ease that we have here will accommodate the dress to pass through, okay, to pass through, and it's not going far. It's just going to stop at the upper chest line, so you don't need to worry about that. So I'll cut this now. Okay. So if you are cutting directly on your fabric, you're cutting directly on your fabric, you're going to make sure you mark this one out differently and this one differently, because you need seam allowance. Okay, very important. Or you come down. If normally what you're supposed to come down by is 9 inches, like we have here, you're going to be coming down by 9.5, so as to add your seam allowance. So I'm going to cut this one out. Remember, you have the front and the back attached together. I'll set to the side. So you're going to cut the same thing for the back, also the same thing for the down part for the back too. So you're going to gather the squared fabric. You gather this. When you succeed in doing your gathering, because I've not succeeded yet, I'm going to match it into the yoke. You make sure that it matches. Okay, so this extra ½ inch I added here, of course you are still going to add your seam allowance to attach it. There's going to be a seam allowance, all right? So at this point now, you can see they are equal. By the time you sew together, it's going to give you, you're going to align it yourself to make it equal. So you have to be careful about doing that. Okay, so when you're done with this now, what's left for you to do is to mark your sleeve, your basic sleeve. The sleeve is a normal basic sleeve, but long this time around. So we're going to talk about how to go about the Mandarin collar. So I'll set this aside.